Hello YouTube and to everyone living up on Cloud 9. I go by the name of Cloudwhite and welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of Last Leek Tonight. Let's give it up, y'all. We doing it. And today we will be covering issue number 19 of the Lunatian, and we also have a very special guest. As always, Jihoz will be joining us, and today Enjoi, creator of AxieEdge.com, will be in the hot seat for the interview, so make sure that you stay tuned to the end. In addition, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you do not miss any future episodes of Last Leek Tonight or the latest in Axie Infinity news. And with that, let's get it started. Issue number 19 of the Lunatian. How far we have come, wouldn't you say? First things first, let's see what we have here. MetaClan Axie tournament is going down. Alright? The first esports-focused DAO, MetaClan, is live. MetaClan chose Axie as a launchpad, noting that the strength and passion of the Axie community is largely why we've decided to focus on this game as our first quest. MetaClan is running an Axie breeding tournament, and you can find the details here. We'll check that out in a minute, but if you have not already pledged MetaClan, I recently created a video that explained how you yourself can pledge MetaClan and join the first esports DAO. So if you're looking for that, be sure to search through my videos and you'll be able to find that quite easily. Let's go ahead here and check out the details of the Axie Infinity tournament that is happening. Quest number 1, the Axie breeding tournament. Okay, so this is what's going on. Their goal is to breed 100 Axies in the inaugural MetaClan breeding tournament. There is some member privileges. So as a member of the MetaClan DAO, you were given 1,500 small love potion to participate in the breeding project. There was also a virgin Axie auction that took place, because the less breeds on your Axie, the less love potion it costs. So 1,500 small love potion can go a lot further with virgin Axies as opposed to, let's say, an Axie with 4 or 5 breeds on it. But what I really want to take a look at here is the weekly breakdown. This is actually interesting. Here, how should I breed? It does say here, breed Axies with the lowest breed count possible. So that's kind of what I was just talking about. Target Axies which share the most class-specific parts for higher purity. Breed Axies with the parts in the current meta. There's a description of that below. Breed Axies whose cards can be comboed. Breed Axies which have energy earning cards. So there was just a couple of tips there. I'm going to wake my way down to this week. Yeah, right here it says the tournament will span 2 weeks. So this week, there is a beauty contest of sorts going on, a looks contest, right? You can see that here. There will be one winner for the best looking Axie and one winner for the ugliest Axie. You're allowed 1 submission per player. All submissions must be named. Prizes: 1 MetaClan DAO share, which equals $25, 125 Luna per winner. So following the look contest, the second weekend will feature more advanced breeding prizes for meta contest. So today is actually the judging of the looks contest or the beauty pageant, whatever you want to call it. And I did want to share this really quickly because I'm super stoked on one of my submissions for the ugliest Axie. And let me pull it up. There it is. Ariel's Nightmare. I don't know if it's going to win or not today, but I got to say I'm super stoked on how the breed turned out. It turned out exactly what I wanted. These were the parents, and I was hoping it was going to be like this one basically here on the left with the teal shell, and I got exactly that with the teal shell here. You can see it. I mean, if this is not Ariel's Nightmare, I don't know what it is. It's perfect. It has like this teal shell, which is kind of like a shell from the sea. It has the lobster tail and the lobster kind of body, and it just looks mean as all get out. It wasn't Ariel's friend in the movie lobster or a crab or something. I don't know. I felt like I nailed this. I'm personally really thrilled with it, and we'll see how it shows today in the contest. Now that said, coming up this next coming week, if you haven't pledged already, get in on this as soon as possible. The meta contest is continuing this week, like I said, with another round of breeding contests. If you want more detail on that, be sure to read all of these descriptions that is provided in the link in this week's Lunatian, and you can see what the criteria will be for this week's breeding. It will be much more focused on trying to create good battlers, it seems. So be sure to check that out. The link is in this week's Lunasian. Next up, we do have this new Axie data analytics tool, which is super, super interesting. So during the recent Dragon Quest hackathon, Clumsier, which is he's a great member of the Axie community and Axie World, and another anonymous developer created new tools for viewing Axie data such as market participants, Axie holders, SLP burnt over time. Check out the new tool. Super, super helpful. Next up, the one and only Psycheout has joined the Blockchain Game Alliance board. Huge honor for him. Huge honor for the Axie Infinity community. The COO, Alexander, aka Psycheout, was voted in as a new board member of the Blockchain Game Alliance, the BGA. BGA's mission is the mass adoption of blockchain games. As a board member, Alex will help steward in a new era of player-driven gaming economies. I think we all believe strongly that Axie Infinity will be at the forefront of that movement, and so it only makes sense to have Psycheout join this board. I think they're very lucky to have him personally, so congratulations to him, congratulations to the board, congratulations to the future of blockchain gaming. Next up, Ethereal Virtual Summit. Okay, the Ethereal Summit took place, and the growth lead, Jihoz, joined the panel at the State of Gaming on Ethereum at the Ethereal Summit. You can watch the recap of that here at this link in the Lunasian. But once again, congratulations to him getting the word out about Axie, getting the word out about gaming on the Ethereum blockchain. Just an honor all around to see the Axie Infinity team really spreading their wings and flying. And we'll be joined by Jihoz here shortly for that interview with Enjoi. Speaking of which, it looks like Jihoz and Enjoi are calling in right now, so let's go ahead and hop into that interview. Enjoy, everyone. I'm hilarious. Enjoy our interview with Enjoi. Hello, everyone. I'm Cloudwhite, and welcome to this week's interview for Last Leek Tonight. Today, we have Enjoi. He is officially our first guest, and excited to have him. I can't believe we've all made it. We're all here. We're together. And, of course, as always, we have Jihoz, the man.
We have guests now. We're upgrading. We're moving up in the world. It's amazing. With us, Enjoi, the man behind Axie Edge. They put out a bunch of really critical articles. I really dig the content and the quality. So yeah, I just wanted to get to know the man behind Axie Edge a little bit. Seems like a pretty cool guy. He's got strong meme game as well. It's good to have you on as our first guest, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate the. Well, I guess it's an honor being the first guest. You guys mentioned that when we were messaging each other back and forth. There's a lot of community members that have made some big strides. So again, honor. Really cool to be here. Hey, Cloudwhite, I got to ask, because I've seen in way too many of your videos, and you've always got that nondescript background. Where are you? Are you in a basement somewhere? Are you like hanging out at some school or?
No, I am absolutely in a basement, and it's actually, it's a fake wall. It's not even real.
No way.
Yeah, it's
It looks legit.
Let me see.
Mortar and all.
Look at this little dungeon shithole I'm in.
Oh yeah.
Oh. It looks all right.
It looks like a real wall. I've been sold this whole time.
It's much better than the 1970s wood planks that we have.
For sure.
Where are you located?
I'm based out of Connecticut.
Okay.
So probably about 2 hours from Jihoz right now, locked down, and you're in New York, right?
I'm in New York. Nice. I went to school in Connecticut.
Oh wow, small world.
You know, everyone has their own kind of, Axie revelation moment where they find out about it and get into it and get hooked. Like, yeah, what was that process like for you? Like, how did you find out about it? Like,
my Axie origin story. I don't know. I think like most of the people in the community, I've been involved with crypto for a while. Probably started getting my toes wet back in like 2013 when Bitcoin was really kind of starting to take off. Just following the scene. Ethereum obviously popped pretty, just following the different projects, and there's been thousands of them that I'm sure everybody's kind of, come in and seen the ebbs and flows. Obviously saw CryptoKitties getting popular towards the end of the last bubble. And, to be honest, I think I actually picked up a few Axies in some OpenSea's bundle without even realizing it, because when you guys actually first popped up on my radar, I already had a few sitting in my wallet. I have no idea how they got there, but that's my only explanation.
So
yeah.
The virus, man. That's
They're just showing up.
Were you playing
Duplicate.
crypto games first? Was that your first introduction into NFTs?
I never did, because I was more of like, I was really deep into the currencies. I was trading back and forth, you know, always was a big stock market guy before that. So it kind of naturally fit. I more followed the NFTs as a curiosity at that point. Really interesting seeing, you know, it pops so fast. And some of those things were selling for tens of thousands of dollars. And I think if you were in the space at all, it was hard not to pay attention. So yeah, I mean, everything kind of died down after 2017. You know, it was still kind of in the space, and that's when you guys launched anyways, right? Early 2018, is that right?
March.
March 2000.
I guess the launching is kind of a, you know, difficult thing to define, right? It's like, we had a website. There was a website.
You sold things.
You could look at your, you know, when I first discovered Axies, like you couldn't see them. Like that was like a big development. Is like you could
right.
find what they look like. Yeah, it's been awesome. Like, you know, having the community there from like day one, right? Like I think, you know, it's like a very rare kind of combination of events that kind of leads to that type of development process.
So it sounds like you accidentally bought your first Axie, but when
apparently
did you get conscious and enter the world of Lunation?
Yeah, so I was skeptical at first, because there were just so many clones in the cryptocurrency space that I saw Axies as just another CryptoKitties clone. I didn't really see the vision. I didn't understand what they were trying to do with it, which, you know, again, if you weren't in the Discord, or I don't even know if the Discord existed back then, but if you weren't in the community, I don't know how you'd really see what that vision was. So I think it was when the first land sale came out, and I must have stumbled on it maybe 2 or 3 days before the first land sale. And that was December 2018. So, you know, I kind of, it made me realize what the greater plan was. And I think the community was actually what sold me on getting involved in the first place. With a lot of the projects I'd followed in the past, if they didn't have a strong community kind of advocating for it, developing alongside, or pushing the developers toward the direction that made sense, a lot of those cryptocurrency projects didn't make it very far. So, you know, jumping in and seeing the community really had your back, I think helped sell it. But also, you know, you released a lot of good content. The artwork was there, and just some of the, you know, some of what you had already built over that first year mixed with what the future could be put me way too deep over the edge into that land sale.
Let me see
how deep am I? Who released it the other day? Somebody put out a
Henry
list, a top 100 list of land. And I'm number 40.
Okay.
So I'm not as deep as you are, Mr.
No,
Top 10.
I mean, you know, it sounds like you probably play more than I do. I'm a land hoarder.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I'm the same way. Yeah, no, I think I've only got maybe 40 or 50 Axies in general. I've been trying to bump it up just because I don't know what's going to come with land play. But, you know, right now you don't technically need a whole lot to play. So that hasn't been my driving motivation. From what we know about land gameplay, you need 3 or you can have 3 per space. So, you know, really where I'm at right now is I should technically probably have 3 per piece of land that I own.
Sure.
So eventually I'll get there. I'll ramp it up.
If the time comes and it needs to happen, you'll make it happen.
I mean, in your space, if that needs to happen, you're gonna really have to open up your wallet, huh?
Oh God, I don't know.
You got a lot of land floating around.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, we'll see what happens. Honestly, right now, I think the marketplace, price-wise, is starting to pick up to where I think it should be around. I think I've mentioned this a couple times in the Discord recently. Just based, and I know there's all kinds of arguments on virtual real estate not being comparable, you know, crypto voxels, sandbox, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that the floor price should be around 0.2, just based on the strict limit of plots in all of Lunatia. It's hovering around 90,000. So that is starting to get where I think it should sit. What I think is drastically undervalued right now, and I wish I had a lot more money for, is Mystics. So just looking at the numbers, now just seeing how well land is doing in terms of price and quantity and how limited mystics are, way underpriced. I wish I had the money.
Yeah, I mean, I try and I just try and focus on what we can control, which is, you know, especially on my end, making sure the community stays positive, that, you know, I'm kind of leading by example in terms of, you know, how to help each other, how to be there for each other. That's actually what I think, like, in the end, you know, really drives the demand for the underlying assets is, you know, basically the strength of the community, obviously, you know, the artwork and the utility. But so, yeah, you know, from my end, I just try and focus on the things that I can kind of control.
Very political.
Well, it's hard for you to push speculation too at this point, and really any point based on your role.
Sure, of course.
Although, can't say anything.
Yeah, although, you know, I think you do a good job, because that's all a lot of people are focused on. You know, there's definitely the people coming in to play the game, and there's definitely the investors. And so when you question about what's going on, you know, I think you do a good job controlling that narrative that, hey, we're going to have more information up for you at some point, but right now, you know, let's focus on what we do have. And, you know, even the things that you do speculate on a little bit, which are more mystic axes, those are the things that are already released. We've already got a lot of information about what that's going to be. So again, kind of controlling that narrative, or you know, dealing with what we do have out and released.
Yeah, we, you know, internally, we've been doing a lot of kind of cross-team collaboration in terms of syncing up on the different roadmaps. So yeah, I just looked at it earlier today. I'm super excited. I actually think we may have some cool stuff to share with you guys sooner than might be kind of anticipated. I think, you know, I'm also, you mentioned that you're into like stocks and equities. I'm a big fan of like Apple's strategy in terms of like
the walled garden approach,
or like under promising and over delivering. I think like in crypto and in blockchain, right, there are all these projects that will promise you the world and like hype things up and like make pointless partnership announcements. Like, I think, you know, our brand is to kind of go against that, right? So I think that, you know, there's a lot to be said about kind of, you know, announcing things when at the right moment, rather than just trying to keep volume and sentiment at a very high level. We would rather, you know, kind of concentrate those announcements at times when there's actionable things to do, like, hey, test this out, or test out the alpha, right? We were actually very quiet about the development of the mobile application until, you know, it was getting about time to launch, and I think that maximized the impact. And, you know, when I was talking to people, when I was talking to players right after we launched, you know, one of the main things that I heard repeatedly was like, we didn't expect it to be so, you know, smooth or well polished, and that they're really pleasantly surprised, right? That's a kind of I think a kind of emotion that really helps or is generated by that kind of approach.
Yeah, I got to hand it to the team too a lot with that release, because, you know, a lot of times we see, you know, a first draft of something like you mentioned, and then there's no real visible updates, and they were really quick to fix issues, and you know, not that there were a whole bunch, but there were some balance stuff. There was some, you know, just bugs with visual display, with you know, some of the, I don't know, things staying on screen after dying or something like that, just visually. But they were so quick to get rid of that stuff. You know, the second the community brought it to the surface, it was pretty much handled the next day.
What are you most looking forward to?
You know, I would say I'm kind of similar. I was very heavily playing when it was first released, and I've kind of died down over the last 2 seasons. Part of that's just because, you know, now with everything going on, I'm working from home and I've got a family, so you get done and, you know, they expect you to hang out, and then you're toast. So part of it's that, but the other part is probably where my interest in game playing lies. And, you know, growing up, I was always more of the RPG player, the kind of min-maxer, that sort of thing. And so I think some of the things that have been alluded to with gameplay speak a little bit more towards the things I'd like to do to wind down at the end of the day, rather than, you know, grind it out in the arena. You know, traveling around, adventuring, exploring, crafting, those are all things that personally I think I would be more, I don't know, would just pull me in a little bit more on a daily level.
I don't know if it's meant to hold our attention. Jiho?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously with the alpha that's out right now, the people who are, you know, the people who are taking it most intensely are the ones who, you know, love climbing the leaderboard and
Sure.
and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, I was just thinking a little bit about what makes Animal Crossing so amazing. Being able to do little relaxing things, right? You know, catch some butterflies, pick up some fossils, you know, clean up your land or clean up your island. You know, I think that those repetitive too, like those daily just relaxing, they're almost chores. Those are things that we can really leverage with land gameplay. So yeah, I definitely understand that. So we still have so much work to do, right? But I think our approach is to, you know, while we're working, give you guys fun things to do to keep you enjoyed, or keep you engaged.
I was just thinking, my wife doesn't understand Axie at all. She makes fun of me a little bit. Grown man playing this kid's game, supposedly, which is, you know, again, looking at the community, I think we've got a wide range of ages and interests and all that. But she always calls it Bitcoin Neopets because she doesn't understand what Ethereum is. She doesn't understand cryptocurrency. She doesn't understand what Axie is. But she relates it to something that she knows. And it's funny because, you know, these people, she doesn't play games. She doesn't even play, like, you know, solitaire or, you know, things on her phone. She doesn't pass the time with any of that stuff other than making me cookies. As I mentioned to Jiho earlier, that's
nice.
all she's been doing this whole break. But I used to play a ton of Neopets back in like middle school or something. And I think what you were just talking about, Animal Crossing, it's the same thing. The interesting thing about Neopets is people who don't play games, for whatever reason, back in the day, they were playing it. And there's a lot of comparisons there. Or every time I bring this up, that's what they compare it to. Maybe it's just where I'm based
the guy who created Neopets is really into cryptocurrencies, actually.
Really?
And yeah, actually, you know, I have this theory that, you know, Neopets would have been great as a blockchain game.
100%.
Because, right, in Neopets, you also had like a vibrant like secondary market. And then you had all these like trusted third-party sites that popped up, because, you know, if you try to sell your items to someone else through PayPal, they could scam you, right? So people just flock to these, you know, trusted third-party middlemen, whereas, you know, basically, you know, you could have actually had a kind of peer-to-peer, player-to-player driven economy with smooth transactions if you'd been using a blockchain, right?
Sure. So it's funny because it actually made me think about why I started my site. And, you know, a big piece of that was I wanted to be more active in the community. There were a lot of questions that kept coming up that, you know, kind of had answers but weren't formatted in a certain way. But the reason I actually started the site was because back in the day there was a site called Jelly Neo or something like that was like user guides for Neopets, and just kind of, you know, guided people in the direction if you're getting started. And I'm like, man, there really should be something like that for Axie.
We talk about all these things, right? Like Neopets, Tamagotchi, Pokemon, blah blah, all these worlds, and they kind of combined into what we hope Axie Infinity is, and that, you know, and more so in terms of function. You know, hope, you know, if it gets as big as one of those things, who knows? But regardless, I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm getting fucked up over here today. It's been a long It was important. It was like about potential for blockchain. That's where it is. So true digital ownership, I think, has changed my perspective of everything in life. I'm a natural antiquer, collector, bullshitter, you know, like I like to go out and do all of these things. And when I
love how you combine all those things, the bullshitting.
That is just all bullshit. But when I realized that I could have that same fulfillment in a digital arena, I was like, holy shit, I don't need physical things anymore. I can live in a tiny house and I can have my digital world. You know? So like, I really think if I feel this sick about something like this, when people realize and have easier access to it, and they realize they can have these same collector kind of emotions, right, about stuff like this, it's gonna change everything. True, you know, NFTs and digital ownership, game changer for me, really.
Well, it's interesting because we were talking about the stock market, right, earlier, and my focus has kind of been brought back that way with everything else that's going on right now. You know, we've taken a big hit. A lot of companies are cutting dividends and all this sort of stuff. And, you know, I've thought this before, but I thought it again now, being immersed in this cryptocurrency community that we all are in, that you know, your ownership for stocks is just, it's a piece of paper sitting somewhere, or, you know, some ones and zeros sitting somewhere, but there's no rules attached to it. And that's the cool thing I think about Ethereum and all the things that are being built on top of it, is because, you know, with DAOs and decentralized autonomous organization, did I get that right? For those who aren't familiar, but you can kind of put rules behind all this ownership as well, which I think is really cool. Because if one of these companies just decides to change the rule, or decides what these dividends are going to be, or, you know, you don't really have ownership over the concept, because it could change at any time, which I think makes what you guys are doing a lot more interesting.
I have a question for you, and this goes back to what you were talking about earlier with your wife not really, you know, knowing about, you know, the Bitcoin Neopets, right?
Yeah, I'm just talking about it all the time.
Yeah, my girlfriend that I had when I was going through, like, that I dated for like a year and a half, so I've been playing Axie, I don't know, what, two and a half years now. Anyway, dated her for a big chunk of this. She didn't fucking get it at all. My family doesn't get it. My friends don't get it. I don't hang out with people that get this kind of shit. So, like, I mean, that's how I started doing content creation, because I was like, I need to have some sort of outlet, right?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that, like, kind of, I mean, it's real negative for me personally. You know, it's personally frustrating that no one understands what I'm trying to do or what I believe in. So how do you deal with that? What kind of situations have you found yourself in?
No, I think it's pretty similar. I mean, even if we're just talking cryptocurrency, most of my friends aren't interested in cryptocurrency. It was a fad, and, you know, they're not, I don't know. They don't see it as a thing anymore. So now you're stacking one more thing onto it, which is kind of a niche within a niche. I think I've got plenty of people who would be interested in this if it took off, but asking them to buy Ethereum, to buy these creatures, to figure out this game, which isn't even available on the App Store yet, it's a lot of asks in a row. Even if I just gave it to them, they still have to learn how to use a wallet. So I don't know. I think my outlet has been mostly through the Discord, through the content creation, like you did. I don't know. The community in the Discord's been just, I think, great all along. There's a lot of people who've been there for a long time with a lot of understanding of a lot of topics, and it's not just, you know, Axie, it's crypto, it's investing, it's things going on in the world, you know, completely separate than anything.
Life events with each other, which I think is a really interesting part of it.
Right.
We've all been around so long now.
Right.
Like, it's like we've literally gone through years with each other. You know, it's really, it's super interesting.
Well, it's really interesting now too, because all of these countries are facing the same big dramatic change, right? And so we've got people from all over the globe in there that are all, you know, speaking English. So it's not, you know, I don't have to learn anything new to be able to communicate with them or go anywhere different than I would have normally. But now I'm seeing these perspectives from all these different places that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the Axie community is quite global, and it's been interesting. You know, we are seeing, you know, people from places like Venezuela, Indonesia, kind of pick it up, and, you know, just, they might not even know, like, that it's a blockchain game, but they just know that, you know, that somehow, for some reason, maybe due to some new technology, they're able to, you know, play this game and make a couple bucks, which, depending on where you are in the world, can actually be quite something.
And Enjoi, you said earlier, you know, kind of barriers to entry, you know, and how, you know, getting players access isn't easy as we hope it will be one day. On that note, Gio and I have I've mentioned this many times. I believe the game changer for us is when we're on an app store and you can buy everything with your fingerprint. And of course, what I mean by that is a credit card. And the blockchain is kind of seamless in the background. You know, it's not in the forefront necessarily. It's just part of its function. And I think that's blockchain will play a part in the future. So just wanted to throw that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You know, we're facing an uphill battle just in terms of learning all these new technologies and these new concepts. You know, if all of these projects do like as well as I think they will, I don't really see it being an issue in the future. Mm-hmm. It's just right now, like you said, you know, you don't really have that community of people who you can bring into it just because of all these different things.
Like when I did that e-girl video, setting the girl up.
That's hilarious.
I'd never heard of fucking Axie, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like setting her up took like 3 hours, you know, like just to like, of course we were communicating via text and whatnot. But yeah, so.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of work to be done on onboarding, but yeah, luckily, you know, that's a lot of what the team is working on at the moment. So I think
Flip it. Jihoz got leaks.
No, I mean, I think the community knows that, usability, accessibility is always something that we're thinking about. And yeah, I think, obviously it is quite difficult to get in, but I've also seen grandmas playing Axie, right? I've also seen children playing Axie. So I think those could be like firsts within the DApp universe. So things are hard, but we have seen some glimmers of breakthroughs. I think there's reason to be very optimistic, and the team is aware of the issues, and I think we have the kind of experience, and we've had the experiences necessary to kind of figure out solutions to a lot of these problems.
I was talking to someone the other day about you guys, and they had questions about you leaving Loom Network, and I was explaining that for me personally, I think it's a blessing. I think you guys hopefully are coming up with your own solution. I don't know that. You don't have to comment on it, but that's my hopes. And honestly, I hope you develop something that's so fucking clutch that Sky Mavis like can release it to other games that want to like hop on it, as like a code or whatever the fuck you guys call it. I don't know. That would be like amazing.
I think long term, if we can really make the Axie IP amazing, then why shouldn't Sky Mavis, like why shouldn't we be the Nintendo of blockchain gaming, right? I think there are going to be a lot of new game publishers and kind of IP creators that pop up because they move faster on this thing than the dinosaurs or the incumbents. So I think that's generally how innovation and capitalism kind of works. Creative destruction. The people who embrace new technologies, new concepts, they can leapfrog the Goliaths, even if they're quite small. So
absolutely, man, I'm with you guys 100%. And I think I had another idea regarding Sky Mavis that was quickly overlooked, which is I want to see shares of Sky Mavis distributed amongst the community. I want true ownership.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is that the fact that we still kind of make revenue like a normal, traditional kind of centralized game company, I think the team is aware that that's kind of a weird incentive alignment, right? Like basically right now, like the way that the system works is in the NFT economies that we see is that teams will do a pre-sale and then these collectibles, and people will kind of try and flip them, right? I think with our land system and different things that we're working on, we're trying to kind of flip the script a little bit and give kind of more rights to our players.
I love it.
Awesome, man. It's been fun getting to know you a little bit better. Yeah, I'm also interested. Like, I want to do like a community Zoom with way more people too, like with 50 people. Like I want it to be chaotic. Like I want it to be hectic.
Gotta happen. You know how many leaks will hit the chat?
I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna be crying. I'm like, okay, like it's okay.
I'm making custom
leaks.
Backgrounds beforehand, just leaks in the background.
True.
No, that's a great idea. You should set that up like as soon as possible. And obviously, yeah.
Dude, I mean, you can do it too. You're a leader. Like that's the thing too. Is like for me, like I want to be like a source of ideas and inspiration. Like I want to kind of lead by example. But I also I believe in like empowering the community to also like do a lot of this stuff too.
Yeah, maybe we could set that up. Maybe.
Yeah, it's like basically like different regimes have like kind of like proxies or whatever, like people who help them out and stuff like that, and it can be a little bit like less formal stuff like that. I think those are the things that really bring the community together. So I love it most when the community is just like hanging out with each other, like they're all in voice. I'm like, what are they doing there? I'll go in and like if I have to organize something, like I'll do that. But I love it most when like the community takes the initiative and I get to go and just to be like another member of the community. That's sometimes how I feel. Like I'm an owner of Axies. Like I also like to play the game. I'm actually like pretty into Arena. I actually, the season, the leaderboard was tough this season, man. Like I was, I was having difficulty winning, and then just kind of raged and stopped. But
I've never even got top 50. I can't. That's another thing. Like I'm just not. It's not for me. That level of gameplay is not for me. I can't do it. I don't know.
That's another good sign, I think. I was seeing a lot of new names, a lot of new people coming in. Getting to that level. So I think, the meta is becoming more interesting. But yeah, it's also, I guess that's a sign of maturation of the game is when you can't just go in and play your own game and start and wreck people. Yeah.
What the hot meta is right now? What is it? What are people hot on right now? Rimp?
Yeah, like rimps are strong. Like I'm kind of biased because I was looking at like what are the top teams by win rate recently, but yeah, I mean I think plants are still strong. I'm thinking about is that okay? Like it seems like basically HP as a stat is very useful compared to things like skill. There's also a problem where it's like intermediate levels of speed it's good to be really slow and it's good to be like really fast, right? Mm-hmm. But like in that middle ground, like the speed doesn't really have that much added utility, right? So that's what we see with like reptiles, because reptile parts add 3 HP plus 1 speed. You also see that with beasts where they get 3 morale and 1 speed. Those extra speeds,
6 points of speed.
It's not really that interesting. Whereas a plant is getting 3 HP and 1 morale for every plant part. So it's like plant parts are just like pretty good. So yeah, I mean that's an observation. So far we've been mainly focused on the balancing of the cards. But yeah, internally we're also just thinking about how can we make things easier to grasp, more fun. Playing games like Slay the Spire, I think there's definitely room to make like a lot kind of significant changes to the card gameplay. So this is alpha, like if we need to tear up the entire thing and change things very drastically, if we see a compelling reason to do that and we think it's best for the kind of health of the ecosystem, we will do that.
No, and I like that about you guys. I'm finally comfortable with that. It's been a wild journey, but I am comfortable. And as much as I don't play Battle Arena, right, I appreciate the real attention to detail. And I've had multiple people compliment the team to me regarding that. And, it really is about this long-term goal, right, of having a really successful game to hopefully, take off.
Yeah, it's an ecosystem. And I think a lot, people are trying to kind of apply like Web 2 frameworks and definitions of success and traction to blockchain companies, where I don't think that works. I think, these things, like you saw that Bitcoin took, years to kind of, right? It's like, it just kind of slowly grows, and then it hits it's like a chemical reaction where it, suddenly hits some key level and then all of a sudden it explodes in interest, right? So I think that's the way to do it, is just to keep building that community, go from like really strange like hobbyists, like all of us, and like slowly get to kind of more mainstream and more kind of a little bit less strange with each step. So
you alive, bro? Did he faint from excitement?
Where did he go?
I didn't hear him. Did he say anything? Did he say something?
I need a water. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
I'll be right back.
Having clear benefits to using the application or being a member of the Axie community is super key. Like, and theoretically, in the end, people will just think of Axie as a game where they can earn some money or earn some crypto, but not really have to think too much about the technology. It's all about like the benefits. What are the benefits that blockchain brings to everyday people? And if it doesn't bring any benefits, then we can't expect those people to interact with us and use our products.
I think that's something really interesting. When people are talking about land in particular, and they're talking about Quadrant 2 getting released, I don't know if that's what you actually call it internally or not, but you always make references to, if we did it this way, that wouldn't be very decentralized, or you'd lose some of the ownership, which I think is really interesting, because it seems like from, the outsider's perspective that you really keep a focus on kind of the true point of decentralization as you're building this stuff out, and you're really trying to build Axie with the focus on kind of staying true to the original vision.
I think in terms of, I think like we're very like community oriented, right? And I think like building alongside the community, definitely like, keeping your opinions and, and the sentiment of the community towards different ideas, like in mind while we're developing and kind of building alongside with you guys, is kind of, where we're at. The project is definitely not decentralized yet, right? If the Axie core team, like we were to all die, probably the Axie project would also die at this point. But, maybe not. Like maybe Axie GG would like, start making games too, right? It's becoming less, right? It's becoming more believable that the project could survive without us over time, right? Theoretically, and over like, I guess, that's the goal of, many different kind of Web3 apps, but it's, we're still really far away from that.
Did you tell us what you were most excited about, like speculative wise? I like talking about the future.
I don't know. Part of me likes the spot we're in right now. I like the speculation. It's fun to just kind of riff with people in the community and try and figure out what's coming next. Without that piece of it, I wouldn't have a site. And I think, once you release something, people, there's always got to be something to look forward to, which makes the Axie Infinity team's job that much harder, I think, because even once land's released, they got to look towards the next thing and the next thing. We've talked about kind of why I'm here, from both the game perspective and from my investment background. So the land piece of that really fits both of those pieces for me. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious to see where this all goes, really.
What do you do professionally?
I'm in sales, enterprise software sales.
Okay.
So,
I think our beginnings in this arena were very different. I didn't own crypto till I saw CryptoKitties. So what was it in just cryptocurrency that you found personally, attention grabbing? And because you got into it quite a few years before I did, and Jiho for that matter, sounds like.
Yeah, I got into it pretty early. To be honest, I feel like I had heard about it. I feel like a lot of people's stories are pretty similar there. You hear about it, you don't do anything for a while, it balloons and hits the news every news cycle, and then you don't do anything, or you couldn't for some reason, or whatever. I think all that's pretty similar to my story. The only real difference is I had a friend who was really into kind of the hacker circles at the time, the dark web stuff, and he kind of pulled me in. I don't know. I think if he wasn't there, that probably wouldn't have happened. And he was pretty developmentally. That doesn't sound right. He was pretty dev-minded. He was a hardcore programmer. He was a hardcore programmer. We released a mining pool for all the altcoin currencies that were coming out at the time. So we were pretty involved in the space at that point. And then again, things kind of peaked and then fell down, and you lose track of things just because it's not as exciting for a while. And I don't know.
Okay. So it was more in and out. You certainly seem much more attentive to the space. The things like the Discord. I don't know if this game would have survived without the Discord, honestly.
Sure.
I don't know how you feel about that, Jiho, but I think Discord played a huge role in the continued success of the game.
I mean, there was a long time where, hanging out in the Discord and like talking about your Axies, talking about, the future, that was, the main thing to do.
That was the game.
That was the game. So I feel like you, like what you were saying is like, you love this idea, you love looking forward to stuff. Like, I think you would have really loved it. Really,
when there was literally nothing. Yeah.
You wouldn't have to get distracted by actually playing. But yeah, no, I think that I think that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I think I think there will always be awesome stuff to look forward to. I don't see Axie as a game. I see it as a universe. I see it as something that lives in our imagination and that originates with the art. Like, I think one of the cool things about our team is that in a lot of ways, like, the art team kind of leads the company forward, and that they'll like make all this stuff and they're like, okay, like what are we gonna do with it? Like we need to like add some awesome functionality, some utility to this art. But I also see it as art. I think that's very key in like NFT projects, is to have like a strong like art style, because at the end of the day, these have many characteristics of rare digital art, rare digital collectibles, and I think the utility is on top of it, and can make it a home run. But I do think like the aesthetic element plays a huge part, and also kind of inspires people.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, because one of your partners going into the land sale was Nifty, who's pivoted pretty heavily since then. And it's funny because them being your partner is actually probably why I'm here where I am today, because I threw way too much on my credit card at that point in time.
I think I remember you doing that. I think that sounds right. I remember that.
That was not good for me, but the partnership was definitely good for Axie. But they just pivoted, so now they're just selling art on the blockchain, which is, we'll see how that turns out. But there's a couple different groups that are doing similar things, and of course that one's led by some big names, so they've got a little bit of one up. But it'll be interesting to see.
I was thinking about this the other day with the Animal Crossing correlation, because I've also been dabbling a lot as well in that. Some people are obsessed with this fucking game. I mean, my sister plays like 10 hours a day. So I had a friend who just made a drive-in movie theater with car beds and so some people get this shit. But so I've been playing, dabbling, but I was looking up what's happening with the amiibo market revolving around this game coming back. And so I'm sure you're all familiar with the Nintendo amiibos, right? The figures. Animal Crossing had cards that they used as their amiibo. Were you aware of this? Okay, so they sold booster packs of amiibo character cards. They were like 5 in a pack or whatever, and they weren't really popular at the time. So like you could go and get them on discount for like $1 or $2, like a booster pack of these amiibo cards. Now some of these cards are selling upwards of $100, $60, $40, more than it actually costs for the actual game. So the reason I bring all this up is, well, one, that's really interesting to see how that appreciated in value. But two, I mean, wouldn't it be crazy if like all the mystics in the game were turned into a little figure and you had like a physical, the physical ownership? I mean, the game can go so many crazy places.
I think like it would be cool if like basically each Axie came with its own like 3D printing like specifications or something like that. That could only be, and like maybe like Sky Mavis could make something so that you could only unlock those prints or something if you own the Axie, something like that.
I mean,
I know you've mentioned a few times, people have brought up the plushies, and you've thought it would be cool to, have somebody in the community, because you guys don't want to run it, at least now, but, there's how many different parts in the Axie universe to make up an individual unique Axie. It'd be cool if somebody could come up with, a process to, you have this Axie and you want a plushie version of it. We can just basically quickly hand make that and ship it out to you, and now you have your own, personal Axie.
Absolutely. Definitely. I think stuff like that will be huge. I think Axies will make like awesome toys. We may or may not like have some plans like sooner than you guys might think regarding stuff again. Like that. So I'm
gonna compliment my hoodie, by the way. It's the first time I've gotten to show it off to anyone.
Oh, dude, nice. Yeah, that is swag, man. Like, I want one of those. That one looks cool.
Like this one? Like,
I want that one. That one. That's mine.
I'll send you the link, like, because they have a link where you can buy the same one. It was only like $45. I was like, yep.
Not bad.
Jeff's like, we need a piece of that.
I mean, he's not selling it too, and I think unless you're making like more than $100,000, like I think it should be okay.
No, I'm not selling it. I mean,
yeah.
Everyone, please go get it.
Also, like I'm like not the stickler on the team in terms of any stuff like that.
Is that a thing? I never even thought about it. I mean, just because I don't fucking care to set it up. I've talked to you so many times. You know I don't care about money, which is a really weird.
Yeah, I mean, remember, you needed to get my permission from Custom Ink. Not that we were saying you need our permission, but Custom Ink was like, you need their permission. And I just sent a Discord message, I guess.
Yeah, they are more sticklers about it. Actually, that's true. That's very true.
So yeah, I'm not strict about it. But yeah, I mean, you know, the IP and like sharing of the IP, you know, that's something that we have to think about long term. But you know, that if we're thinking about that, like if that conversation is very important, Axie is going to be huge at that point.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it makes sense wasting brainwaves on it like right at the second.
So with my my horrible waste of $50,000 on an art degree in film, I learned a lot about copyright, and I really became obsessed with like intellectual property and fair, you know, where that fine line is with fair use and all that, and when do brands step in to, you know, have to take a stance right on someone monetizing their IP. And you're right, you're absolutely right. If you get to that point where that's an issue, we're all fucking golden. You're fine.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I see it is like up to like, you know, a certain point, like all that is just free advertising, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he made the point earlier that, you know, the community is what's driving a lot of this growth. I had reached out to him maybe a month or two ago, just thanking him for being supportive, because if I was, you know, pushing out content and nobody was seeing it, there'd be no point in me continuing to push out content. And same for you. You know, if they weren't sharing it internally or on the Discord or, you know, in the newsletters, some of your videos, there'd be no point to keep doing it. There's just no motivation there. So I think what was that?
Oh, I was just saying, I agree with you. I wouldn't do it. You're right.
Yeah. So I think that just kind of it just builds on top of each other. You know, the community in itself is just driven to, you know, succeed and help each other succeed and help the project succeed. You know, you see that with the Axie GG gang. You know, I know they're working on a bunch of stuff, but you know, from what I've seen so far, if somebody wanted to set something up like that, and you know, like Jeff said, it's just creating more awareness for the project in general.
Absolutely. If you look at the e-girl video, it's the #1 video aside from the trailer when you look up Axie Infinity. So it's like something like 1,500 more views than the next previous popular video. I'm sure these people had no idea what the fuck Axie Infinity was. They just wanted to see the Asian chick or whatever. I don't know.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally agree. You know, the community kind of, you know, they're definitely helping each other out, and it's awesome to see what you guys are doing. Yeah, I mean, I think that's always been one of our strengths, so very appreciative of it. And for those who aren't familiar with your site, Enjoi, tell us a little bit about Axie Edge and kind of where you got the inspiration, what it's about and why you started it.
Yeah, so I started Axie Edge just from being in the Discord in the early days. There were a lot of questions being thrown around, and you know, I think the moderators do a great job, and the team does a great job of answering those. The community does a great job at answering those. But there were a lot of repeated questions about, you know, what the future may hold. A lot of stuff about, you know, best tactics for battling and, you know, what have you, that just I felt like needed a more defined resource. So, you know, really I just kind of went back through and picked a few topics and started compiling just to try and be the best resource for, you know, what is land game play going to look like, and what are mystics and why are they important to the game. I've got a lot more stuff that I'd like to get out, but you know, I think I mentioned earlier with the coronavirus, working from home, being, you know, here with my family 24/7, I'm exhausted at the end of the day, so I just haven't had time to. But you know, I've got some cool utilities that are coming out. Look for those in the next couple months. But yeah, we'll see what the future brings. I just want to keep creating content and being more useful to the community is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Yeah, I have, there are basically 4 or 5 articles that you've written that have kind of made it into my top list of community kind of created content. So, keep up the great work, and it's very helpful for my end.
Thanks.
How many kids do you have running around?
I have one. He's 1 year old.
Oh, okay, that's right. I think I knew that.
He was he was in your video, the colors
that's
video.
That's right. Well, shout out. We'll plug him right here.
Do it.
His kid. In the Axie video. Thank God. You know what I was talking to my mom about today? Thank God he's not like 14. God, could you imagine having like a teenager to be home with all day right now? I don't know. I was not a compliant teenager, so my mom would have killed us. There was 3 kids in high school at the same time, and we were all busy.
Yeah, that's too much. 1-year-olds, it's tough too though. He's just starting to really run around, climb on everything, pull the cords out of the walls while I'm on my computer. He's figuring out that if you pull the plug on lamps, they turn off. So it's just it's a lot to deal with, but it's
That's
fun.
good. And no divorce for you in sight?
Not if she keeps making cookies.
Yeah, I just got a dog actually.
Oh yeah?
Really?
A new dog, yeah. A new
Do you
dog.
have a picture?
I'll put a picture in Discord later. We just got him like yesterday, so.
Oh, right on.
Oh man.
Like he won't even like. It's hard for me to take a picture because he's like a puppy, so he's like moving around so much.
All over.
And if I'm ever near him, like he's always trying to like lick my leg. So.
What kind of dog?
For me to take a picture. I don't know. He's like a border collie mix.
Okay.
Similar to my last dog, but really a lot bigger. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Puppies are tough when you're supposed to be locked down. I don't know what your situation is, but we've got a dog and 2 cats, and if we didn't have any backyard, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean we're in a kind of suburban area or whatever, so we're like we were able.
You got
to
room to walk them and
go out for walks and runs. Yeah,
I could not imagine having an animal in like an apartment right now.
Right. That's what I was saying. Like even in like the city where you got to walk, when you go out to walk, you're passing people and stuff. Like.
Yeah. In the city, it's definitely a problem. But yeah, I mean, we apparently all of the shelters like have no dogs. Like all of them have been adopted.
People are looking for companionship right now.
People want pets. People love pets. Like that's another thing about Axie is like they're pets.
What a segue.
They're digital pets.
Absolutely.
They don't die. Like I was thinking about this, last month when I lost my dog. Like your Axie doesn't die. It can earn you money. Like come on. As like our generation, right? Let's like we're traveling all over the place. We don't have like a stable home situation a lot of the times. Like it can be hard. I had my dog and then I had to give my dog to my parents because I wanted to move to Asia to work at Axie, right? We're kind of, for the digital nomad generation, I think digital ownership, digital pets make a lot of sense.
I was just telling someone the other day about this because I remember that was a big part of like the pitch in the beginning, right? Was this idea, you said it was some statistic like Japan, they don't have a lot of pets in the house, right? Or they're just in situations where they're not able to as easily, right? Smaller living spaces. Or is that what you used to say?
Maybe I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean,
our
generation,
not a direct
like
quote.
Urban people.
Yeah.
Are not Japanese people.
Okay, all right. You want me to cut it down on the Japanese people?
Yeah.
Well, you were just saying statistically something about less space for
Yeah.
true physical ownership of pets, and like it's more easily accessible. I mean, isn't that why Tamagotchi did well?
Yeah, I think the way that we like to explain Axie, it could get very complicated, or you can just call it, Pokemon and Tamagotchi inspired game, where you can earn some tokens or money, right?
But that digital ownership makes that all completely different, right? So you are literally creating an emotional attachment to a digital image. To be fair, people have emotional attachments to their Pokemon and their Tamagotchi, right? I think like the true benefit, the interesting thing that the blockchain adds is, this idea of a community-driven project where all the players are stakeholders, and this ability to, actually earn something by playing the game or interacting with the project, and having that, smooth secondary market is basically, better than the PayPal scams that could be kind of done with, as we mentioned before, Neopets. Right. I think that, as far as emotional attachment is concerned, I see your point. Yes, you can care for these things, but there really is a different feeling for me when it comes to knowing I own this very unique, like down to the genetics of the creature, you know, like that unique of a thing, that it feels more like a different type of ownership. For instance, I was thinking earlier today, imagine if Pokemon Go had like limited Pokemon in the game. So like there's only going to be 200 million Pidgey around the world or whatever. And like when those 200 million are gone, like you better be trading or doing whatever. So that kind of level of ownership, I think, still separates it from something like capturing a Pokemon in Pokemon Go or playing with an, you know, something that's reproducible.
There's elements of scarcity, right? Which is kind of, you know, taken from the whole crypto economics and token design kind of aspect of the space. Yeah.
I just want to interrupt real quick and say, you were talking about Tamagotchi as a pet replacement. And here I was as a kid, I took my Tamagotchi, I clipped it to my dog's collar, and I threw the Frisbee so that I wouldn't have to, so it wouldn't count my steps, it would count his.
That's amazing.
If you somehow made it so my phone, like shaking my phone, generated SLP, I would have that thing clipped up in a second.
Didn't you see my mock-up for the Apple Watch?
No. I'll take a look.
I'll have to send it to you, yeah. I think
All right.
So the idea would be you're walking your pet, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
your smartwatch. So you're
Yeah.
walking your Axie. Maybe it could be a faster breed time or egg hatching time, or however you want to, you know, look at it. But that would be super interesting.
There you go, Jiho.
Nice. To take that idea back to the team.
Definitely take it to the team.
I mean, you might see it in like 20 years. Wouldn't that be crazy? I mean, I don't know. The potential for things to expand is really super interesting. And, you know, looking somewhere like 20 years down the line, it sounds crazy today, but like imagine if we had all these real life NFTs and, you know, I mean, it really can go so many places, which is what I really find fascinating about it.
We're going to have to see what happens, but I think there's a lot of momentum. This is where the experimentation is happening. This is where, you know, people are making bold, kind of risky, and interesting moves. So, you know, I think history has always kind of favored those types of people and those types of projects.
All right, thank you so much, Enjoi. I can't believe the time has flown by. I don't know if it's been an hour, 2 hours, 3, who knows anymore. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
Thanks
we
for
don't
having
want
me,
to
guys.
keep you away from the baby and the wife. Yeah, man.
I'll be
thanks
back in the
for everything you
Discord
do.
soon.
For sure, man.
We're gonna set up that big Zoom chat. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna set that up.
Let's do it. I'm there.
Yeah, I think these are good to also just brainstorm and come up with crazy ideas. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cloudwhite, I want you to host it, and then the team won't be like, oh, like you can't do this. Like this could cause. Like, if you host it, there's nothing they can do, right? So there's nothing they can do to block.
Just goes back to supporting the community.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
it.
get it set up. I'll get it set up this week.
Okay.
All right, you guys. Peace.
Well, everyone, that concludes this week's episode of Last Leak Tonight. If you enjoyed yourself, please don't hesitate to smash that like button. And as always, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. It really helps out everything I'm trying to do here with the channel and will keep you up to date on the latest in Axie Infinity news. Until next time, I go by the name of Cloudwhite, and I'm out of here. Peace.